So guys, welcome to episode 10 of Culture Talks. And here today with us, we have Reid from Deli Lites. Now I'm going to pass across the Brian to introduce himself and his company. But before I do, one of the things I just want to put across is that from the first time we met Brian, first time we spoke to Brian, we were so impressed by his attitude to organizational culture and his approach to it, and just all the things that he'd done, and the fact that he actually has a good culture, a really positive culture within the organization, but he still wanted to make it better. And that made it more impressive and even just refreshing for us to hear, because that's what we want to encourage other organizations to do. So I'm not waffling on, Brian, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself and Deli Lites.
Sure, Sean, thanks. And thanks for having me on, by the way. The energy level of you guys is inspirational as well. So thanks for having me on.
But yeah, appreciate that.
CEO of Deli Lites Ireland Limited. We're a food-to-go business based in Warm Point, and we employ roughly 250 people, supply food-to-go products into the Irish market, UK, and now international markets as well. So, yeah, we've been building the business about 20 years now, myself and Jackie, my wife, and we work together. And yeah, it's been an exciting time for us over the last couple of years. Been working hard to build the business up and develop our people and challenge ourselves a wee bit more. We got into a bit of a groove 4 or 5 years ago. We weren't pushing things on a wee bit, but in the last 2 years, we had a bit more focus on how do we develop the business further, how do we drive it on. So started out as a sandwich bar back in Newry 25 years ago on Monaghan Street. It was my wife's sisters, Jackie's sisters, Siobhan, Michelle, Edel, Caroline, all working together in the business. And Jackie was working in the shop when I met Jackie, and we went away traveling together, and we decided to come back and open a business. So we were working at night in the sandwich bar, making products during the night and delivering them the next day. Jackie made the products, I delivered them, just built the customers up, and we're still at it, and still working as hard as we ever did. We enjoy it, still have the buzz to come into work every day, and want to keep doing that and keep bringing people along with us. So we're still heavily involved with the sandwich bars. The girls are still working in the business. They've reopened a few weeks ago, actually, in a click and collect take-out only format, which has been interesting because we've been able to help them with that. We are helping them produce a few products here and support them through it this difficult time. But yeah, the sandwich bars where it all started, and I started actually working in the sandwich bars with the girls, and the work ethic that I noticed and learned from inspired me. And I was at the catering college, so they gave me a break in terms of my career, and they sort of, myself and Jackie met through Deli Lites. So we took the brand on then and went into the wholesale and manufacturing side of how do we take the product that's in the sandwich bars and bring it out into the market. So yeah, we're learning every day, and we're learning. COVID-19 obviously has been another learning experience for us. So I'm a CEO, I've been the MD, I've been here, leading the company for, as I say, 20 years. And yeah, it's brilliant. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. You're anything from fighting fires, talking to people, talking to customers, managing costs, looking at strategy, developing plans, and just trying to learn. I try to learn all the time as well. I think important.
And it's impressive. It's impressive just the fact that there's a local organisation going for 25 years, and of course you've expanded as well. You're servicing other countries as well at the minute, isn't that right?
That's right. As I said, a couple of years ago, we the Irish market. We've been supplying the Irish market for a number of years, and it's only so big, and we realised that if we wanted to take the business on to the next level, that we had to figure out a way of developing the brand and taking the product into a format that we could take out of Ireland. It's a short shelf life product that we make, so it's very hard to take it further than 2 or 3 hours away. Going into the UK with a fresh product would mean setting up factories, would be employing more people over there, and it was something that we decided that we weren't really into. We have a young family, and we felt that would maybe be a bit of a stretch for us. So we worked on a format. We now can produce a product and freeze it and capture the taste and flavour in the product that'll lead us into export markets. So we want to have won a number of export contracts in Scandinavian countries, into the Dutch market. We've been in Gulf Foods in Dubai, and we've a number of exciting things happening there just before actually COVID locked us all in our houses. We were working on those, and we've had a number of orders actually in over the last few weeks that those markets are starting to reopen. So it's about the brand for us, trying to take the brand. How do we take the brand out of the local area that has supported us so well?
Yeah.
And just for the brand in other markets. And that's where my focus has been probably over the last 18 months.
Right, excellent. Obviously, Brian, like, I mean, it's 25 years. It's been a major part of your life. That's where you met your wife. And Deli Lites has been you. It's been everything and all this time. How have you felt the growth has happened over that time? So how many employees do you have at the minute?
We've around 250. 250.
That's outstanding.
In the wholesale business, we've about 250. In the sandwich bars, collectively, we've about 350 employees within the different sandwich bars. And so in total, Deli Lites employs about 350 people. But you've made a good point there. I mean, Deli Lites, in terms of the identity of who you are and what you are, you just become part of it. When you're in business, and myself and Jackie just put the head down, we just decided, you know what, we're going to give this a go. I left school young. I didn't go to university or anything. Jackie was the same. So the two of us decided to go down the hard route, which was work. And for us, it was what we wanted to do. We just wanted to get stuck in, try and run our own business. And, you know, the business becomes part of what you do. It becomes the way you are. It becomes like a child nearly, where you're about it all the time. You're constantly thinking, how do I improve it? And it's only in the last, I would say, 3 years that we have realized that the brand is part of us, and we need to be then leading the brand. We need to be taking the brand and being at the forefront of it. So we're quite private people. We don't do much of this actually. We normally keep our cards close to our chest. But I think that we have realized that we have a good brand, and in order to take that brand to the next level, you have to lead it. You have to get out there, talk about it. You have to show people that you have something worth talking about, and believe in yourself. A lot of people that go into business young and don't go to university carry around that, carry around that little backpack on their shoulder, where they're thinking, you know, I didn't go to college and university, so I'm not as good as the next person. So for us, it was, how do we prove that we are as good? How do we prove that we are worth something? And a lot of entrepreneurs would tell you that there is a self-belief thing there, that you have something to prove. So myself and Jackie would be a bit like that, where we just put the heads down and said, right, we're going to make a go of this, and that's what we did. So, and we're still at it, and there's still so much further to go, but it does become part of you, no doubt about it. And it's emotional at times, where you do, you get over emotional about it, and you become attached. And part of the process that I'm going through at the minute is, how do we detach this? How do we make sure that there's a future? Because Brian and Jackie aren't going to be here forever. How do we build a team? How do we build a senior team within the business that can future-proof the business? And that's what we're doing at the moment. Yeah,
Brian, I think that's so important as well. That sort of, how do you sort of move on to the next stage? Because it is so much a part of you. Like, see, in the earlier days, how did that feel? So whenever you had to bring, I know there's a lot of family involved. Are all the family still involved, and is all Jackie's sisters still part of the company, or?
Jackie's sisters are involved in the sandwich bars and the retail side of the business. Yeah. That's very heavily involved, still working every day, still putting the shoulder to the wheel, but they don't get involved in this side of it. Myself and Jackie will be driving this side of the business, and this is what we see significant opportunities in. But yeah, we would still meet on a monthly basis and discuss new ideas, new flavors. How do we drive things forward?
And how far along the journey were you then before you brought your first employees on the outside of the family?
Outside of the family, it was myself and Jackie initially, and we employed a couple of just young people in Uri to help us during the night. And once, there was one morning, Siobhan came in. We were working at night in the sandwich bars. She let us use our kitchen and stuff, and she gave us a foot up. And she came in one day and said, listen, guys, you are getting busy here. You need to find your own place. So we moved to Warren Point. I don't know what took us to Warren Point. We found a unit actually with a fridge in it. So we said, right, that'll do it. Think about it.
Can't talk about that.
We ended up in a unit just across the road from us here, actually.
Right.
And this frozen food business, and we used to look across at the frozen food business and think, that could be us someday, And in 2007, we bought the business and we moved down here. But we realised that we couldn't do this on our own. We started employing people. We put a few local advertisements out, and we started employing local people in Warren Point, and people were travelling from Uri. And eventually then we realised we had a big team here, and we need to start thinking about how we manage these people, because at that time, we were just get it made, get it delivered, and everything else was secondary. But now, as I've developed, and as you develop in business, you realise that you can't do it on your own. You need to develop the people. And we have made a lot of mistakes. We've got it wrong so many times, and still continue to get it wrong. But we learn from it, and the interviewing process, the recruitment process, the development of your people is ultimately where you will succeed, because if you cannot do it on your own. And we were lucky to meet a girl called Brona helped us with the whole recruitment and culture piece, and she helped us develop a way to look at recruitment and look at selection and do it the right way. So we were lucky to have good advice very early on, actually. And it was a cost, if I'm being honest, it was a cost early on in the business that we couldn't afford. There was a few raised eyebrows, that we were investing in this. And I was like, well, we need to do this right. Because when I was 19, I travelled, I worked on a cruise ship in the Caribbean, and I realised that I wasn't fairly treated. And I realised that I wore that shoe on the other foot, where I was actually treated badly. And when I came back and went into business, I thought, you know what, I don't want to be treated like that. And I thought that was something that we needed to invest in, and it has paid off, because if you continue to do things the right way and try to do things the right way, I think people identify with that, and they think, they're trying to do it right. They're going through a process. Whereas if you bring it and you don't learn from expertise that you bring in, and you just wing it, people see through that.
No, I think that's brilliant, Brian, because one of the things that we would see through a lot of organizations are that I suppose that they're trying to tick a lot of boxes, but they're not really doing anything effective. It's more just it is covering yourself, and people do see through it, and not even just do people see through it, but it just isn't effective. It doesn't do the job that you want it to do. And one of the things that you've done early on then was invest in it. And some people will not do that because and when I talk about investment, I just talk about money and talking about time as well. And a lot of people don't want to invest the time into these types of projects, because there's so much happening. As you said at the start, some days you're firefighting and doing different things, and people have things going on every single day, and they're kind of going, that's easily pushed to the side, and they're thinking, I don't have the time for that now. But they're not realizing is how much time you save in the long run when you invest early, as you have done, because you don't have all these problems of high turnover and having to do a lot of disciplinaries and we recruit new people. I mean, obviously you're recruiting because you're expanding and you need a certain level of turnover, but to have that at a low level where it's really manageable, and people you have coming in are fresh people who are bringing in new ideas and all the positive things that come with that, people just don't want to invest that early on.
Don't want to invest, but you've got to look long term. Too many people look at it short term and think, that's a cost I can do without. No, just we'll do it the other way. But in 20 years, I've never been in court for an employment issue. I've never had a tribunal against a business, and I do believe that we have got it wrong at times, and I do believe that just that investment, just that time taken to try and do a process and try and do things right helps. And in the long run, you build your reputation. Your brand is only as good as the people that work for you, and you need to look after your people, because, as I said to people during the lockdown, we're all salespeople now. We all are selling the brand. We've all got a responsibility now to get out and promote the brand. And if your people that work within your company are happy and feel like they're being looked after, you will get that back 3 or 4 times, no doubt.
100%. Like everything you say just sort of just rings true, and that's why we use you as a perfect example. But I think one of the things you said earlier on there as well was, I think it's an effective way of learning too. Unfortunately, it's a negative way, but it's an effective way. You were treated badly yourself, and sometimes I think good leaders learn from a lot from the negative things that happened as well as the positive things. for me, I learned a lot more from the negative, unfortunately, than I did the positive. Although the positive was great, I had two particular managers that I worked alongside, experienced managers. One of them was just absolutely lovely. Everybody loved her, and I sort of followed her example a fair bit. And the other person did a lot of things wrong. Nice person, don't get me wrong, but in terms of leadership, done a lot of things wrong. And I thought I didn't grow because people want to hold on to things themselves. They don't want to let go. And that's why I was asking you one of the things, how does that feel at the earlier stages? And if you had to bring in new employees, how do you feel at that point, that sort of detachment from Deli Lites a wee bit because you're handing over something to somebody else?
Yeah, you've got to trust the people that are you're delegating that induction or that onboarding or whatever you call it to. You've got to trust, and you've got to make sure that one of the things that we brought in was that any new employee coming into the company, I would spend 30 minutes with them just having a chat like this about where did we start, how did we develop the company, what are our plans for the business. But you've got to make sure that whoever's doing that induction and those initial contacts are a good representative of your company. We're very lucky that we don't really have to sell the role. Once people get talking to the initial engagement with Rona or Sean, whoever that is, they get a sense of, I can sense there's something good going on in that company because they're bubbly, they're enthusiastic, they do the great job of promoting the company. And just, I think that you've got a responsibility when you bring somebody into the business and you offer them a job, you've got to make sure that you have a responsibility to make sure that they're happy, and you've got to make sure that they spend a lot of time under your watch and working for you. You have a responsibility to make sure that they're happy. And if they go out and say that it's a crap place to work, or you weren't looked after very well, the knock-on effect of that could be huge because they'll tell so many people. So we realized that over the years that, you will be, you're only as good as your last disgruntled employee or your last bad, but you have to really make sure that what you do is good every time. And that goes from the product that you make to the people that you employ, the conversations that you have in meetings and how you turn up to a meeting. Are you in good form? Are you in bad form? If you're in bad form, don't go into the meeting. Stuff like that is so important nowadays.
I think as well, Brian, for yourselves as well, because you were employing local. What you said is there, if someone was treated badly within your organization and they go and tell someone else, like that word spreads very quickly as well. You can get a very bad reputation early on too, which won't be good. And we're talking about attracting and retaining the best people. Like, in order to attract the best people, you need to have a positive brand. You need to have your employees come out and singing your praises and all the good things that you do to encourage all the best people to kind of want to come on board with you, and then of course stay on board. So that's a really important factor, I think, in that as well.
Retention is very important, and coming up with incentives, coming up with ideas within the company to help promote why you would stay at Deli Lites, offering career path. Being a local brand, you have a bit to prove to people that you are a career company. One of the things that happened to me actually about 5 years ago was I was in a shop and I met a guy that I played football with on a Wednesday night or something, and he says to me, "Oh, how you getting on? Where are you working at now?" And I says, "I'm up in Deli Lites." And he turned around and he said to me, "Oh, you up there? You just a wee temporary role or something, is it? Or you just And I thought, well, actually, no, it's not a temporary role. And I thought, is that how the local people perceive you're in there as a stopgap? So I came away from that, and it's small comments like that I think deeply about, and I took that away with me, and I thought, like, how do I take this company away from being a stopgap company to a stepping stone to a company that actually employs people long term? And that isn't easy for local businesses, because there are a lot of big companies out there that offer a career path and offer all these perks because they have a lot of money, and they can offer incentives to get people and bigger salaries. And Warrenpoint isn't easy to recruit people in because it's a small provincial town outside Newry, and people tend to go to Belfast. They will travel to Belfast rather than travel up the dual carriageway at Warrenpoint. And we had to battle hard to attract people. And if you weren't in Portadown or Dungannon, there's big food processors in those areas like My Park and Linden Foods and stuff, and we would have had to try and be creative about how we recruit and how we attract people, Sean. And then retaining them once they get in, how do you keep people happy? Well, it's about creating that environment that sure that when they come in every day that they feel they feel valued, and that they're part of a plan, and they're part of they're on the journey with you, ready, right from the person who is, you know, cleaning a toilet to the person that is sitting in an executive office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know what? We had the pleasure of going up at Deli Lites as well, and just walking in, you feel that atmosphere when you walk in the door. I mean, the girl behind the desk was just absolutely lovely. You know, you get that feeling straight away as soon as you're talking to them. We met Brona there as well, and you know, if you want a cup of coffee straight in, the conversation is lovely. It's just a really nice atmosphere. It's a kind of atmosphere that I would want to work in myself, and that's like when we went in, we sort of felt that. And people say you can't see culture. And to an extent, maybe it's true, but I would always say you can't, because you see it in everyday interactions that people have. For starters, like you see it on that level, right up to how decisions are made within a company. So you can see it in what happens, what the results are, and how people interact. And I think that's so important. That day we were in, there was a few people setting up for a training course, and even their attitude when they're walking past you, it's just nice, friendly, and upbeat. And it just feels like a really nice place. I mean, I'd imagine for anybody walking in for the first time to get a job, if they get that feeling, I think you'd have no problem getting them in and keeping them. But obviously, it takes a lot to make that, to create what you've created there as well. That's not an easy task, and it's took you 25 years to get there.
Well, hasn't always been like that. I mean, we did a lot of work at the front of the building to create an environment like that, where we've got coffee for staff. We've got we wanted to create an environment that our customers could come in and our staff could feel, well, they're working in a company that supplies a coffee market, and our customers want to walk in and feel like they're in a coffee shop. So we did a bit of work at the front of the house. Now, one of the things that disappoints me most about the lockdown and COVID is that we're gonna, you know, that investment and that create ambience that we created is going to be challenged now because of social distancing and COVID. I mean, bringing on site and bringing training people on site, it's not going to be as easy, but we're just going to have to do it differently. We'll change, but yeah, you're right. There's a nice upbeat feeling about the business, and that comes through though in your product, and it comes through in your interactions with your customers. And at the end of the day, the customers sense that, because the people that are welcoming the likes of yourself, Sean, on site, or welcoming a customer or a delivery driver, go, I just got a coffee there, and like, I don't get that anywhere else. Like, what is it? Why, you know, that's the sort of stuff that is memorable.
Yeah.
And we find that, you know, everybody is a custodian of the brand, and you know, we've got to make sure that any interactions people have with that brand is good and positive. And one of our values that we developed is to be positive in as many interactions as possible. Now, we have our bad moments too. You know,
we're all human.
we have areas where we have uncomfortable discussions. We call them zoods, where you bring people into a room and have an area, a closed area, where you can have an honest conversation with somebody. And that was one of the other, a small office just off where you would have been, Sean, where you have to close the door and say, listen, there's a few things that we need to talk about, you know. So we wanted to create just a better working environment, Sean, because, as I said, people spend a lot of time at work, and they have to feel comfortable, and they have to feel, you know, this company is investing in us. Because if I'm out shooting pheasants, and which I don't do, by the way, but people in the business haven't even got a desk, or can't get a beverage for their tea break, it doesn't look right.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. Just just having that attitude, that, I mean, that is a true leader. Just how you operate, how you think so naturally about it as well. But you know, I don't think too many people have that natural, just that way of thinking. Like you're literally putting people first. Like one of the things you said, we had a quick chat before we started recording. And one of the things you said was about how you pivoted to doing the deliveries. And I mean, by the sounds of it, the reason for that was just for the team, to keep the team on board. And
it was distraction. We launched the e-commerce side of the company about 2 weeks before lockdown. We've been studying, we've got a new IT system at the minute, and we spent quite a bit of time on our social media and trying to promote ourselves externally. And one of the next phases was to get, well, we had a website last year, was to get the e-commerce bit onto the website. So I was at a conference 2 weeks before lockdown with Manufacturing NA, and I met a guy who quickly helped us with it and got it set up. Mark Kelso in Belfast was very good with the Shopify page. But when lockdown happened, we had just started to get this set up. And I quickly realized that everybody was looking at me as if to say, what are we going to do now? Our customers are closed. We're all at home. We were using Microsoft Teams anyway. Yeah. And I thought e-commerce is a big distraction for people. It'll really, if we focus on this and we try to develop it and give everybody a focus of their attention away from the crap that was on the news and the fact we were all at home and maybe jobs were at risk, I said, let's try and get their attention onto the e-commerce site. And it worked. And the effort and the energy level, with people wanting to get involved in it that shouldn't have been getting involved in it. They wanted to help. They wanted to help us drive it, come up with ideas, and it's been really good. It's been really, really good. And it wasn't just a short-term thing. I want to sort of move the company online anyway. And it happened, and now that people are getting back out again, we're still getting really good orders in, and the support we got was unbelievable. Like, just in the local area, people were ordering stuff and repeat orders and, you know, taking pictures and everything. It was brilliant. And anybody looking in, employee-wise, were looking at it going, you know what, these guys are trying here. Yeah. You know, they're trying. When there was so much negativity about, it would have been easy enough for us to go furlough, sit at home, no contact, put the head down, feel sorry for ourselves, or just drink beer, whatever. I said, no, that's not the type of people that we are. And myself and Jackie were meeting each other in the hallway, like with kids kicking around, going, right, what about why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? Why don't we get a picture of that? And it's been good. It's been really good, but it's been challenging too.
Great to get reality behind the scenes, meeting in the hallway with the kids, because that's obviously a challenge for everybody. And you're trying to run a company of this size, and you have your own family at home as well that you're trying to look after and make sure they're all okay. Like, it's
believe you me, we're not teachers. We are not teachers. We're not good at cleaning out.
I've got a teacher at home. My wife's a teacher, so I get off lately.
You know, my experience with education wasn't brilliant. So, like, me to be teaching anybody is just a no-no. But yeah, I mean, behind the scenes with teenage kids in the house, it's been tough. It's been tough. And mentally, it's been difficult. And you have to form new habits, and I formed new habits just to get us through lockdown. And, you know, really the mental health. One of the things that when we get back to work and, you know, on a bigger scale, will be, you know, offering something to the team in terms of mental health support, because I think it's going to be massive. Yeah. I even know myself when it was off, you know, you're going, right, what am I going to do today? What is the focus of my day? And that isn't easy. That is not easy for somebody that Seth and Jackie are, right, coffee, breakfast, out the door, go and fix the problem. That's the way we live our lives. So when you get the coffee and you can't actually get out of the house, and you don't have a problem to fix, and you're powerless, mental health kicks in where you're like, right, well, what's the focus of today? Running 100 mile an hour for 20 years, which we kind of did, and, you know, we shouldn't have been doing that, but we were like that. You kind of, it's not easy just to stop in your tracks. So I appreciate the mental health thing more now than ever, that you need a focus, you need a distraction, you need a routine in your life. You need to form good habits, better habits, and adopt your habits to the environment that you're in. And we've had to do that.
I think that's going to be one of the critical things, Brian, moving forward now, as you say, looking after the team, and like, you're ready again. You're on the button with it in terms of like looking at the mental health afterwards, because we've done a lot of research over the past few months as well, just looking at previous incidents that have had that impacted workplaces and how they were impacted with that return. And one of the things that we've seen a lot of was that organizations, like in terms of this setting, COVID setting, people are obviously looking at how do we make the place safe, the actual environment safe for people to come into, which is important, of course. But I think a lot of times, and what we've seen in the research, was that people were neglected, and that just had a negative impact, because one of the things we'd say is, if the culture before COVID plus the culture during COVID plus the culture after COVID is the culture that you're left with, and people don't treat their employees right, they're going to stay. I mean, in this environment now, there's 6,000 jobs or whatever it is now, and God knows what it's going to end up lost overall. But people don't have a big option at the minute to go to another job. But see down the line, they're going to judge the organisations on how they were treated now. And if the next opportunity comes up down the line, they're going to take it, because they're going to recognise what was done and what wasn't done for them over this period of time.
The next steps are very important for companies, I believe, because I do agree there's not too much you could do during the lockdown and during people being working from home or trying to support from home. There's very little you could do in terms of engaging in the culture piece. But I think that the next steps that companies make in terms of bringing people back and how they're treated, and safety has to be first. We're lucky. Safety is a big part of what we do anyway with food safety. Yeah. So a lot of good things within the company, but that we do, and good practices that we've had in place. But you're right. I think the next steps that companies make are going to be very, very valuable and could be significant in terms of bringing people back safely, offering them the support services that they need in terms of childcare, mental health, flexibility. I mean, I'm not talking necessarily everybody working from home. I think co-working is going to become a big thing, because you might want to bring that person back into the office, but you may want them to work just remotely because it's safer for them to be remote. So then all of a sudden you're going to say, listen, there's a co-working space in Uri, for example, for us at Warren Point. Go down there and get a desk there and just socially distance there rather than coming on site, or giving people the options of, if you want to work from home. It'll depend on the education, what happens with education.
Yeah.
If the education steps up and deals with the fact that kids need to be educated and that parents are not teachers, that it'll depend a lot on the next steps that companies have to make. Because if kids are still at home in September, part-time or whatever, how do companies react to that? How do I bring somebody back in? You know, they can only do 2 days because the kids are at home, and the childcare is going to become a big thing. So we've been talking to a local childcare company to see, can we offer that as an option as well? You know, if people want to come back and the kids need minded, can we do some sort of a deal to make sure that, you know, if there's 2 days in a week that isn't covered, can they that? But the next steps that companies move are huge, because
and for you in particular, 350 employees, it's not hard to it's not easy to balance that, like, to get that right and know when people can and can't work, and it's a big challenge.
It's not. We did a questionnaire recently to see who wants to come back, and we got good feedback that generally people do want to come back to work and they want to get back into the office again, but we'll leave it to them to decide. We were lucky, we put Microsoft Teams in last year and we've been using it, and we were lucky. We weren't doing as many video calls, we were doing a lot of messages on it and sharing documents. Now we're doing the video calls on it, and it's fantastic. Like, you can, and Zoom as well, it's fantastic. You can do so much. You can share documents, you can have conference calls. But now, in the last 3 weeks, we did face-to-face, just socially distanced group meetings where we started to bring people back in and meet them at a distance, and just to get body language, just to see people, and to get a chat and get a reading of how they are. So I think it's only so much you can tell from a video call. So we decided to do that, and it's really senior managers at the moment we're doing it with, and we're encouraging them to try and make contact, even if it's just calling around to their house and dropping them a tray bake at their door and saying, how you keeping? You know, everything all right? Just to be visible, you know. It's because somebody said that we're all in this together, and you know, but we're not really. Everybody's had different experiences, Sean.
Definitely.
Has different things to deal with at home, and you don't know what each employee has to go home to or has had the, you know, experience in the last 3 months. Some people were getting out of the house to work because it was a better space for them to be, you know.
Agree, 100%. No, and that is true. Like, because we all have had our different challenges to deal with. Like, different people have had families, or others might not have had families, but they may have had different circumstances that they're dealing with. And we've heard a lot on the news and the impact that COVID has had in other aspects. So there is no one size fits all, as you say. You know, it's individual. And it's important that each individual is sort of given their chance to communicate how they feel. And that survey idea is a brilliant way of just fighting that out as well, because we've done the same thing as well. We thought, even when you're talking to people, sometimes people don't want to say these things, even if it is on a phone call or a text message. They don't want to say these things, but to give them a chance to maybe just click a button and get selection, it's a wee bit easier to get that message across. And we found that the message we were getting to the survey was different. It was different from everything else we'd thought beforehand. So now we have an opportunity to follow up on that and have a conversation about it in direct terms. So I think the survey idea is a great thing, and it's something that other organisations should definitely think about if they haven't done that.
Yeah, the survey was something we had started to do in the business just to get a flavour of how people were, and we've done staff surveys over the years, but this has become very important now. As you say, people will click a button to say, do I feel comfortable coming back? Am I encouraged to come back? Am I having any mental health issues? Or do I feel as if I would like to talk to somebody as well? Those are important questions to ask. And as you say, they mightn't say it to your face because people are not comfortable talking about it, but they may click a button to say, yeah, and it's all confidential. So I think the mental health is going to become a big thing now, and we need to support it. It's already a big...
Yeah, it was before this, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm involved in sport a wee bit, and I've experienced sport and different how kids. I coach youth football a wee bit, and you can see when kids, especially whenever their heads are down and they need a focus. They need school. School to me is as much about getting routine, getting the kids into good habits and discipline, and giving them a focus for their week as it is about learning anything. That's what it's all about, and identifying the signals are very important. So,
listen, Brian, I'm not going to keep you any longer. You've given us enough of your time, and really genuinely appreciate it. Amazing conversation, and just to hear all the things that you do, it's just so natural. It's so natural to you, and so natural to Deli Lites, and it's really, really impressive. And any other organisation out there, business owners, should take a look and try and follow that lead. And just even from something that you said at the start there as well about how you started, you didn't have that educational background, but look what you've done now. And I think that's important as well. It's an important lesson for people who are maybe in that position now and only sort of starting out, even like ourselves. I mean, we're already in business too. And so for starting out, that's impressive for us to kind of know that we're going to grow and have all these hundreds of employees too. So we're looking forward to that.
And you will, and I'm telling you, if your excitement and your enthusiasm will pay off, and you guys are in it as well. So keep at it. And the whole culture thing is underappreciated, but you guys are really doing a good job. So keep at it. Keep at it.
Genuinely appreciate it, and appreciate their time. So
thanks, Sean.
Thank you very much. So guys, if you want to be like Deli Lites and create a positive culture, remember, engage, enable, and empower.